Welcome to ArcGIS Field Maps, an introduction in what's new. My name is Brent Pierce, and I have the pleasure today of presenting with my teammates, Demaya Curry and Jeff Shanner. Now let's get started. To best understand field maps, I find it really important to understand where we've come from. In 2014, we released Collector, and it became the foundation of our field operations initiative. As more customers began adopting field apps in their organizations, we started adding more capabilities. We added Explorer for working with maps in the field, and then Navigator, eventually Workforce. We followed the path set by Apple and Google in building focused applications for each activity or capability. All the apps you see here today are built with the ArcGIS Runtime SDKs. However, with these apps, what we found is that organizations found that deploying multiple applications to complete a workflow was too cumbersome. It required downloading each app from the store, signing into each app, linking them together, and in some instances, downloading copies of the data for multiple applications. So we wanted to address all the key workflows that were being solved by our applications, but we wanted to bring all these capabilities under one roof, into one application. We wanted something to help understand the map, help capture data, navigate turn by turn, plan your field operations, and monitor those field operations. But we needed it to be all in one application. It's the foundational app for your mobile workforce. That's because it enables you to perform inspections, to collect and edit data using high accuracy devices, to work with maps both online and offline, to mark up maps and share notes from the field, and also to record your location tracks or your location history. So we had a very distinct strategy in mind when we started to think about what we wanted to achieve with field maps. First, we wanted to incorporate the best-in-breed mapping system that was ArcGIS Explorer, take all the technology that leads to the world-class data collection solution, Collector, combine that with really the revolutionary data tracking or location tracking capabilities in Tracker, and fold that into a single application we're calling ArcGIS Field Maps. Now, eventually, we're going to work the world-class work management and tasking solution of Workforce into the application, and then eventually starting to incorporate some of the offline turn-by-turn direction capabilities available today in Navigator. All these capabilities will be coming in future releases. We also committed to a quarterly release schedule, so we want to have a meaningful update to the Field Maps application every quarter. So I often get the question, if I'm using Explorer, if I'm using Collector, why should I move my workforce over to Field Maps? First and foremost, it's just one app to deploy, to teach your staff, and to learn. Since it's only one app, you only have to sign in once. You don't have to manage credentials for 2 or 3 different applications all on one device. This also eliminates the duplication of not only offline content, but also eliminates the duplication of features. So you only have one app to install, which means you have more space on your device for your data, for other applications you need to get your job done. Lastly, it leads to a lot of consistency because there's only one app to manage. So I'm going to focus now on the mobile aspects to the Field Map solution. The key capabilities in the mobile app aspect of the app are, of course, map viewing. You have rich cartographic maps that come to life in Field Maps. And if those map layers update in real time and you have a connection to the service, well, the app will auto-refresh, respecting the refresh interval. Trying to find what you're looking for when you're in the field or on site is really key. Because of that, we allow you to search for location, addresses, and features. As well, in recent releases, we had support for the indoor data model in indoor maps. Map Markup will be a feature that's new to probably Collector users. It's really the ability to sketch on top of your map, place markers on top of your map, take notes, and share those either peer-to-peer or via email or sharing with ArcGIS Online. High accuracy data collection is a hallmark of Collector. That's now available in Field Maps as well. Something new to Field Maps that we're quite excited about are Smart Forms, which is a robust editing capability and they're really a simplified form management that allows for sophisticated behavior like conditional visibility in required fields. Lastly, viewing, recording, and sharing your location and seeing the location of other colleagues in the field is a key capability that's available on the mobile version of Field Maps. I'll drill into each feature in a little more detail. The map viewing capability is really the core capability of the Field Maps application. We support labeling with ArcGIS, as well as advanced symbology. Group layers and annotation are supported, and everything you can do in a pop-up in the web map or in ArcGIS Pro is also available in Field Maps, including ArcGIS feature sets, which we added support for in the last release. All the map tools you would expect in a mobile mapping application are available, and there's a couple extra that you won't see anywhere else. Now, the GPS tool, you can rotate using compass or zoom to your current location. Base map, bookmark, layer, legend are all pretty basic tooling for any kind of mapping application. Now, the measure tool is fairly unique to our application, and you can measure both with lines or areas. Like I mentioned before, search is a key capability, so you can search not only for coordinates, but also features by their attribute or just locations using a point of interest type search. Working offline is a big part of what you do as a mobile worker. So our app works completely offline, and then when you have access to the backend services, you can synchronize any edits you might have made or pull down any edits that might have been made in the backend data. Again, getting directions to get you where you need to go is available in the app. And you have a choice of which app you want to call out to. You can use the Navigator app if you're a Navigator user, or if you prefer to use Apple Maps or Google Maps, we also support integration with those two. An app that's fairly unique to Field Map, or a tool that's fairly unique to Field Maps, is the Compass tool. And this tool allows you to, by using the device's orientation, navigate you in kind of a beeline or line of sight to a feature. This is very useful for finding a feature in real life when you're on site. A little bit more on map markup. The Markup tool is a freehand sketch tool where you can sketch both lines and areas onto the map. You can also drop markers, add arrows to those markers, and we also provide some shape recognition capabilities to make it easier to sketch or recognize the shape you're trying to draw with your finger. Now, one of the key powers of Markup is being able to not only mark up for yourself and keeping those markups as personal notes, but you can also share those markup elements with others in your organization. So you could share what we call over-the-air or OTA by Bluetooth, by other mechanisms that the device provides, but you could also email it or text that markup to others in your organization so they could pull your notes onto their device and look at them. You could also share with your ArcGIS organization as an item in either ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. This means that GIS professionals can pull your notes into their project and work with your notes to make edits to the system of record. Now, for many people that work regularly on site, high accuracy data set collection is absolutely crucial. Sometimes the accuracy you get with native devices is just not good enough. Sometimes you need 1 to 3 meters above ground, maybe even sub-foot accuracy for below ground assets. In Field Maps, we integrate with a number of different GNS partners. We've partnered with these folks to support their devices so it pairs well with an app like Field Maps. So you could use whichever device you're most comfortable with, pair that with the application, and start getting high accuracy GPS right away. Inspections are a key workflow within the application. We support all the transaction modes that the platform supports. So we support not only traditional versioning, but also non-version editing, as well as offline branch versioning. A number of different inspection types are supported, whether they be feature inspections that are creating new features or updating the attributes on existing features, as well as more tabular historical basic inspections. We're really just adding another relationship in a one-to-many relationship model for every subsequent inspection that is done. Now, smart forms really come into play when we're talking about inspections. I have many more slides on this, but it really will bring the inspection experience to the next level by allowing you to work with your data in a very controlled and customized way. Location tracking is a capability of the mobile application that tracks your location as you're working with the application. And those tracks can be shared with the rest of your organization depending on how that sharing is configured. We've worked really hard on trying to configure battery savings by listening to the activity you're doing and turning off certain sensors when you're not moving. Tracking can be switched on and off for all maps from the map screen or within an individual map. One thing I wanted to point out is you can configure tracking at a specific duration. So if I want to start my 8-hour workday, I would just turn on tracking for 8 hours. That way I don't have to remember to turn off tracking at the end of my workday when I go home. It'll automatically turn off in the background. Track Viewer is the web application used to not only share tracks with others, but view everyone's tracks within the organization. On this note, we've added a new track lines layer for improved viewing and scalability when viewing many different tracks all at once. Intermapping is a capability that we added in a previous release. ArcGIS Field Maps supports the Indoors information model both in map packages, but also for web maps. So when a map is floor aware, meaning it has the levels and facilities layer exposed with the appropriate schema, the floor tool will just come alive when appropriate. You can see here in the video, the floor tool comes alive when I'm close to one of my facilities, and then I can change the floor to view the assets at the different floor, filtering the map based on that specific floor. App links are a way of remotely controlling field maps using a link. I can either do this from another application and kind of deep link into field maps, or I could just create the app link and send it to someone via an email, text message, or maybe even on a website. If I tap any of those links, it'll open field maps and execute the parameters of the link. So some of the capabilities exposed to these parameters include just basic stuff like opening a map or a map package, perhaps even downloading that map package if it's not already on my device. Maybe even centering at a location and a scale. I can also configure a app link to open a map and search using coordinates, maybe a location. I can even search a feature attribute. We're always adding new capabilities to app links, and we've added a number of different data collection and editing focused capabilities within our application. So you can start data collection at a specific location or start directly collecting attributes. And at the end of that action, it'll call back into another application. So this is a way to do a circular workflow, maybe from a third-party application, edit a feature, and then after that edit is submitted, it'll call back into the calling application. In the last release, we really focused on a number of different iOS enhancements. Whether that being using Apple's sign-in mechanism, supporting that, or supporting dark mode if you have that set on your device. We also supported Scribble on the iPad. So if you're using Apple Pencil and want to capture attributes just by using writing on the device itself, we now support that on Apple devices. We've also supported Apple Watch and other wearable devices for location tracking, so you can now start and stop tracking directly from your wrist. We support a number of different MDM solutions within Field Maps. Now, if you're not familiar, MDMs allow you to easily manage your organization's devices and the software on those devices. This really improves the efficiency of app deployments and keeps not only your apps, but also the data in those apps secure. Field Maps has a number of different configuration keywords that are available, so as you deploy Field Maps through an MDM, you can configure that deployment in various ways. A couple key examples of this is maybe specifying the portal URL so that Field Maps always connects to your enterprise instance and your mobile workers don't have to remember which portal to put in. Another one is configuring anonymous access so that you can only use Field Maps anonymously and you're never prompted to sign in. For added security, we also support app-level VPN. I've talked a lot about mobile. I think the best way to show it now is to ask Demaya to do a quick demo of the mobile capabilities. Demaya, over to you.
Thanks, Brent. Let's get started with walking through the ArcGIS Field Maps mobile app. So I have signed into my ArcGIS organization and the maps list has opened on my mobile screen. The maps on this page are organized into different categories, such as maps that have been stored on my device, maps that I have authored and own, and finally maps that have been shared in groups that I am in. I'm going to tap on the Grand Teton National Park map, and this map is a mobile map package that was created using ArcGIS Pro, and it's available for me to download and use when I am disconnected from the internet. Now, I have downloaded the map to my mobile device, and when I tap on it and open it up, you can see the extent at which it was created for. Now, I can tap on my current location and zoom in. I can see the rich cartographic qualities of the map. I can see the contours that render its value based on my extent. I can rotate the map as I see fit. And on top of the map is the GPS button, and I can tap that and it will straighten out so that north is facing up. At the top toolbar, I have a set of tools that I can use. There's a layers menu, and this is where I can turn specific layers on and off, whether they are in a web map or in a map package. There's also a search tool that I can use to find things in my map. Say I need to locate the start point for the Cascade Canyon Trail. I can search for that location. In the sliding panel that appears, I can view information about the trail that I just searched for. I can see the coordinates and the address of the location, and I also have a set of actions. One of them might be using the compass tool to navigate myself across this terrain to get to the Cascade Canyon Trail. You'll also notice the GPS banner at the top. If I tap the GPS banner, I can also find more information about my current location. If I have the license to start tracking, I can tap on Track My Location, and it will ask me how long I want tracking to be turned on. Maybe I'm going to be at this park location for, let's say, 8 hours. With this duration set, tracking will automatically turn off when I reach that 8-hour time mark. Location tracking is enabled on a map in the GPS details of the map or from the specific My Tracks map card in the maps list. In April, we provided more opportunities to use location tracking within your organization. For example, the field worker user type now includes support for ArcGIS Tracker, so you can record and share your location without any additional cost. So I'll click out of the GPS details, and in the overflow menu, I can access additional tools, such as bookmarks, legends, the ability to mark up the map, the ability to change the base map, and much more. So I'll tap the Markup tool, and now I am in this mode where I could drop a marker and add an arrow to that marker. I can drag that arrow to the start point of the Cascade Canyon Trail, label it Trailhead, and I can also make a note as well. I can also sketch a circle around this area and fill it in with color. Then I can take this markup that I created and I can share it as a screenshot. I can take the markup itself and share it to a friend or someone else by email or back to my ArcGIS organization. They can open the markup inside of Field Maps or ArcGIS Pro and see the markup I placed on the map. Let's go back to the list of maps. I am going to tap on another map called the Washington Bridge Project map and open it. This map includes a lot of different utility information as part of the map, and it has been authored for a field data collection and asset inspection workflow. You can see in the bottom right corner there is a blue plus button that lets me collect data onto the map. Using this button, let's complete a data collection workflow. I will zoom into this area near the Washington Street Bridge, and I will press the blue plus button. Here I can see a list of different types of features I can capture. I am going to tap on Commercial Service Connection, and it's going to drop that point directly at the location on the map. I can update the location by moving the map around, and then tapping Update Point. From the sliding panel, I want to show you how to fill out the form. I can set the lifestyle status to abandoned. Additional fields appear that are organized into a group called Abandoned Service. Only when the life cycle is set as abandoned will this group show up. I can set whether the status is critical or not, and I will put it as unknown. We can also type in a note as well if we like. I will leave this required metered field empty and will press the submit button. Field Maps now has a new submit button experience. Now the submit button is always enabled. If required fields need to be filled out, a message will appear, like this one, and the fields will be highlighted in red so that you know what you need to do and fill out. So now I will go back into the form and fill in that missing required field. We don't really know if it's metered or not, so we will put it as unknown. Now that all required fields are filled out, I can finally submit my form. We have now created the new service endpoint. Tapping down below on the pop-up information, I can quickly get access to additional tools. I'm going to tap Collect here, and once again, it shows me a list of the features I can capture. And this time, I'm going to tap Commercial Services because I want to construct an underground line that we found as well. It sets the point to my current location, and as I move the map, it rubber bands a line that shows me where the next point will be dropped. If I move over to this valve location, I can snap directly to it. And that lets me define some connectivity between the line and other assets on the map. Tap Add Point to set that location, and once again, I can fill out the smart form. I will set the status to Abandoned, the asset type to Cast Iron, indicate we found it using a tracing wire, and then press Submit. I have just shown you in Field Maps how we can capture new information, both points and lines. Now I'm going to show you how to conduct an inspection workflow. I'm going to tap on this fire hydrant, and straight away you can see this custom pop-up that shows details about the hydrant. What's interesting about this pop-up is that if you look, it says that 4 maintenance inspections were completed. Now how do we know this information? We know this because we created this custom pop-up using the arcade expression language. We are able to go and use a concept called feature sets to navigate from the asset to related inspection records, and then find out how many were completed and display that directly in the custom pop-up. You can use the arcade expression language to provide this intelligence on any information you want to look at. Now, I'm going to tap on the relationship button and then add a new related record. I can now fill out the smart form. In this case, it includes several different groups. Information on inspectors themselves, information on the inspection that was completed, and I can collapse and open each group as well. There is also a conditional statement here, one that asks me if a hydrant flush was required, and if so, it shows additional fields. And you must fill out that flow rate field to submit the form. But that is only done when the field is visible. If it is not visible, it's not required. This was a quick glimpse of the ArcGIS Field Maps mobile application. We started with showing you a set map, both a read-only map and one used for data collection and inspection workflows. Those maps can be packaged for offline use, and you can open and use them when you don't have an internet connection. If a map supports data collection workflows, like the one that is currently open, you can complete those inspections and capture new data directly in the map. All of this you can do with the support of location tracking. Thank you, and back to you, Brent.
Thanks, Tamaya. That was an excellent demo. But now I'd like to change gears a little bit and focus on the other part of the Field Maps solution, and that is the Field Maps web component. Now, while the mobile component is really designed for the mobile worker, the Field Maps web component is designed and targeting GIS analysts, those who in their organization have to configure and deploy maps for the mobile workers. It's supported in ArcGIS Online and Enterprise 10.8.1. The create privilege is required to create new items in ArcGIS Online or Enterprise. But at this release, we also support maps that are shared in a shared update group. So it's not just maps you own. It can also be maps you're collaborating on and updating collaboratively within your organization using shared update groups. Some of the capabilities in the web app are the ability to configure map properties, the ability to configure a smart forms experience, as well as content such as layers, tables, and settings that will be turned on and off when the map is opened. There's also ability to manage the offline experience your mobile workers will encounter when they open the map, as well as a way to quickly share and deploy different maps. So drilling in a little bit on the map setting configuration aspect to the web app. Here you can configure which map tools will show up in the application and how those map tools will behave. So you can configure whether data collection, whether copying, whether edit multiple will be available as feature actions. Also a number of different collection settings. So you really have fine-grained control over how your mobile workers collect data, whether it be the location accuracy, the photo size they collect, snapping, averaging, streaming. A number of different parameters can be configured in the web app, and then your mobile worker doesn't have to worry about having to set all these parameters. The web map also allows you to configure and specify which feature templates should be used when collecting new features or adding existing features. You can think of a feature template as your data dictionary, which really controls how the data is collected, what symbol is used, what name, description, what sets of values are valid. The web application can be used to configure all this to really ensure that you get the best possible data coming in from your mobile workers. Now, Smart Forms is an exciting new feature that we've been putting a lot of our energy into, and it's really a new way to create and edit attributes in ArcGIS. Now, Smart Forms are included in the web map specification itself, so it's part of the web map, and it's supported in the map viewer as well as field maps. It really simplifies the field editing experience in a number of different ways. Now, I'm mentioning it in this section because really the design experience is completely housed in the web version of field maps. So this is where you design the experience you want your mobile workers to encounter in the field. Some key capabilities of field maps is the ability to use groups to organize different fields into different groupings, apply conditional visibility to fields, format the form and its fields, as well as qualify required or read-only fields so that you're not getting edits where you don't want them. A little bit on field formatting. You can use description text for each field, as well as a caption. Maybe it's a hint as to how to edit the data itself for your mobile workers. You could define a field as being a read-only, so that can be used as a reference, maybe an in-service date. You don't want people editing that in the field, but they might need it to get their job done in the field, so you can set that field to be read-only. You can also specify which fields in a form are required, and submissions will be blocked until those required fields have a valid value. Now, we support a number of different input types in Smart Forms, and we're always adding new input types. So the switch input type, for example, was just added at this June release. But before that, we had a text box or a text area. We had a date time, a combo box, a barcode scanner. We're always adding new input types, which really come to life in the mobile data when they're configured within, or the mobile experience when they're configured in the web application. This really optimizes data entry. A little bit on grouping. A group has a display name as well as a description, which is often used to give a hint to the mobile worker how they should edit fields within those groups. By default, you can specify if the group is expanded or collapsed within the mobile application, but the mobile worker themselves can collapse or expand those groups to make editing simpler as well. One of the most powerful capabilities of Smart Forms is conditional visibility. This is as simple as the visibility of a field being determined by the execution of a certain arcade expression. This arcade expression uses the arcade constraint profile, and it always evaluates to true or false. So you could see here, this will evaluate to true when the damage field is not equal to no damage. So in this case, you might want to enable certain fields that'll show when there is an actual damage value. A number of different offline capabilities that can be managed from the web app as well. So you can enable and disable offline mode, you can fix and diagnose map layer issues, and manage offline map areas, all from the web application. You can also control what types of data is delivered when a field worker takes some data offline, a mobile worker takes some data offline. All right, I'll throw it over to Demaya one more time so she could demo the Field Maps web application.
Thanks, Brent. Starting from the home page of my organization, I can open the Field Maps web app from the app launcher. Doing so will take me directly to the list of maps that I have authored. If I have lots of maps, I can click on the search button. This will filter the list of maps to ones that I'm interested in. If I type in Redlands, you can see it filters that list to just the Redlands campus indoors map. One of the interesting things you can do from the maps page is select an existing map and choose to hide it so it doesn't appear when you sign in and view the maps list. Another thing you can do here is duplicating a map to create a copy of it. I can also directly edit the sharing capabilities of the map and delete the map. Let's go ahead and open this Washington Bridge project map and examine some of the configuration capabilities. This is the map I showed in the mobile demo earlier, so we're going to touch on some of the content that I collected with, and I will show you how some of that came to life. So starting with the overview page, you can see the thumbnail of the map, and here is where you can also change it. Some other information you can view here is the map name, the summary of the map, whether it is available for use in the mobile app, what the offline capabilities of the map are and its offline status, and finally the sharing status of the map. Now let's take a look at the Content tab. The Content tab is where the structure and anatomy of our map lives. As you can see, there are quite a few editable layers within this map. Now we can dive into the data collection capabilities for these different layers. For example, I'll click on Service Connections. In the mobile demo, I showed you how I created a new abandoned service connection endpoint. In that demo, I clicked on Commercial and created a new endpoint that way. Well, say I wanted to reorder these different templates. Let's say most of what I'm doing in this project is commercial related. I will drag and drop the commercial feature template so it can be at the top. Now, when I click on this specific feature template, there are additional things that I can do. I can duplicate the template or I can delete it. Let's say I wanted to make a specific template for an abandoned commercial service endpoint. And in addition to specifying that new template, I want to set some default values for the fields that are a part of it. In this panel here, I can filter the attribute list for that feature template to show only ones that show up in my form. And here I can set some default values for those attributes. So, say I want to set the lifecycle status to abandoned. I can do that here. These are some of the things that you can do with templates to further configure the experience of the mobile worker when using this map. Now, let's check out some of the form features by clicking the Form button. Tapping on the form for service connection, you can see I have pre-created this form. It's the same form that I used in the mobile demo where I first selected the lifecycle status, and then through a group of additional attributes, I have them appear only when the status is set as abandoned. Now navigating over to tables, when I click Hydrant Inspections, you can see that there is no form configured here. If I did want to create a form, I could start by converting it to a pop-up, if I spent time beforehand configuring a pop-up for this related table. Alternatively, another way I can create a form is on the right-hand side, I have a list of all the attributes that are part of this layer. So I can start composing a form from scratch using these attributes. So I will drag and drop inspection date, inspector, and notes onto the form. Next, I'm going to reorder these. I will select inspector, and using the up and down arrow keys, I will move this attribute up in my list. Next, I will unselect it and then add a group to this form. And then I will drag and drop each attribute into this group. I will select the group and then rename it Inspector Information. I will also give it a description. I can then take each of these fields and apply different formatting properties to them. For example, with the inspector attribute, I will add a hint. This hint will appear when you are going to create a value for that field. and it will appear right inside the text box in the mobile app. For that hint, I'll put enter your name. I can add a minimum length requirement of 4 characters, and I can say that this is a required field. I can also change the display name from the field name to this question. With the date field, I can do the same thing and make the display name enter the current inspection date ? And then I can say, don't use a date and time picker, instead use the date picker. And I can set the date range from yesterday till this Friday. This will make it so that as mobile workers enter that information, if they go outside the bounds of this date for the inspection, it will snap back and not let them enter anything besides this date range. With the form, 3 new input types have also been added to the form configuration offering. The first is the Barcode Scanner input type. This adds support for reading barcodes and QR codes using the camera on your device. You can now qualify which fields in a form can open the camera and scan for barcodes/QR codes using the Field Maps web app. You can still manually enter the code, but only fields with the input type specified can launch the camera to scan it. The second new input type is the radio button input type, which can be applied to fields with lists of values. When picking a single choice from a list, the radio button is a great option for lists with 5 or fewer items, as all can be visible to choose from, along with the name and description right there in the form. Finally, the switch input type has been added to the form as well. Switches give you another way to answer yes or no in specified fields on your form. Okay, so I'm going to head back to the hydrant inspection form, and now I'm going to bring in conditional visibility and show you how that works on the form. To do this, I'm going to add the flush required field to the form. In this process, I can ask if a hydrant flush is required, and if the answer to that question is yes, then I want the mobile worker to fill out the flow duration and flow rates. So I'm going to put those 2 fields in a group as well. I'm going to call this group Flush Details. And now I'm going to add a conditional visibility expression to this Flush Details group. So I will click on the group, or select the group, and then select Add Expression. First, I'm going to go to the Flush Required field and add the actual domain that is flush required to my arcade expression. We can look and see what the valid values are for this field, and it's either yes or no. So I'm going to evaluate it such that yes is what I want my true answer as. Next, I'm going to give my expression a new name, Flush Required. And then I'm going to test my expression. We can see the expression evaluates to true or false, so I'm going to save that expression and head back to my form. As you can see, the expression has been applied for all the fields that are in this group with this symbol. For flow duration, I can click on it and make it so that this field is required. So when our conditional visibility expression evaluates to true, you must fill out these fields in order to complete and submit the inspection record. There have also been significant updates made to the conditional visibility experience. For example, conditional visibility expressions can be reused within the same form, and you no longer need to copy the expression if it needs to be applied to multiple attributes or groups. Now, expressions can be applied to multiple groups and attributes in the form. You can also view which groups and attributes are using an expression, and expressions can be deleted, duplicated, or edited. Next, I'm going to click over to the Offline tab and discard our changes. In the Offline tab, we can pull together all the experiences for managing the offline capabilities. If I open the content view, it will show us the list of layers. As you can see, they are all checked green, meaning that they are good to be taken offline. The same can be said for the tables information. If I wanted to, I can open the item details for a specific layer. I can also directly open the Map Area tab for generating offline map areas. I can create those and name them from this window. There are also some advanced features here as well. If I want to control the download behavior for editable features or read-only features, I can do that here. If I'm sideloading some form of a tile package, I can specify what kind here as well. Next, I'm going to click over to the Map Settings tab. This is where you can choose what map tools and feature actions are present in the mobile app user experience. Here, you can set the location accuracy for data collection, as well as enable GPS averaging and streaming. The photo upload size and show-related type settings have now moved from within the mobile app to the Field Maps web app, so they can be configured on a per-map basis. If you don't want mobile workers to edit multiple features, create new features where one already exists, or copy a feature, you can also remove these capabilities from the map in the Settings tab as well. The last thing I will show you are the features available in the Sharing tab, and I'll navigate to a different map. First, in this tab, you can view how the map is currently being shared. By clicking the Set Sharing Level button, you can use the standard Share dialog box that you are familiar with to share your map, and any dependent layers to the groups your mobile workers use. After you set the sharing level, Field Maps generates a unique shortened URL that you can copy and paste into an email or text message that you prepare for your mobile workers. A QR code is also generated, and this QR code can be scanned directly from the camera on your device. When mobile workers tap the link or scan the QR code on a mobile device, the map is open in Field Maps. The Hide in Field Maps mobile switch has moved from the overview page to the new sharing page as well. So this has been a quick overview of the Field Maps web app. I'll pass it back to you, Britt.
Thanks, Tamaya. That was excellent. Now a little bit on licensing. Now, these are the main user types available. Now every ArcGIS user will need one of these. Each of these are geared towards a specific use case within your organization. And they come with the permissions, capabilities, and apps that go along with these use cases. As you might guess by name, viewers can only view maps, while GIS professionals have access to the latest desktop applications. Most organizations will have a mix of these user types assigned to people depending on what their role is within that organization. Now, the first thing I'd like to talk about when it comes to licensing field maps is the field worker user type first and foremost. In most cases, your mobile workers should have a field worker user type assigned to them. A field worker user type will allow your mobile workers to sign in and use all of the functionality that's currently in Field Maps mobile app. It'll give them the ability to view and interact with maps, create markup, collect new features with high accuracy, edit existing features, use smart forms, and complete asset inspections. Also use the location tracking service to share their location. We built Field Maps to dramatically adjust based on the user that's signed in. So the accounts that you used in Explorer or Tracker before will continue to work with Field Maps with the exact same capabilities provided to your users. So let me talk a little bit about what's new for this June release. First, we've made a number of different smart forms improvements. We've added a new switch input type. We've added a no value option for nullable fields, so you can set that to be no value when the field itself is nullable. We've also added a description for text fields, allowing you to offer more details to your mobile workers. In the data collection and editing realm, we've enhanced copy feature experience to not only copy the location of a feature, but alternatively copy the location and attributes of the feature. Something that's in beta right now is support for the utility network. We support viewing containment in the network, as well as connectivity and structural attachment. We also support tracing, like you see in this video, using what's called a trace configuration to quickly trace the network and get information back based on the results of that trace. This is in beta right now, and if you're interested in testing, just reach out to our team. Some things that are new on the web side for the June 2021 release. You can save ArcGIS expressions now and apply them to multiple groups and attributes in the form. So if you have a specific condition, a specific expression that you want to apply to many, you don't have to duplicate that. You can just save that and apply it multiple times. You can also view and configure web maps that are shared with you in your shared update groups. You can also configure the sharing level of the map and share it via a QR code or a link with an easy tool from the website. In an often requested feature, you can now set a map to require location tracking as soon as that map is opened in the Field Maps mobile version. A little bit about our roadmap. So we talked about what we're working on for the June release, but what's coming next in the near term is some more map authoring capabilities coming into the website, as well as we're always adding to smart forms. So we want to be able to calculate attribute values on the fly using contingent values as well as attribute rules. We want to add work management capabilities to the app by integrating all the capabilities of the Workforce app directly into Field Maps. From an indoor perspective, we want to make indoor editing a little easier, as well as support indoor positioning services. Now for the data collection side of things, we're going to support orthometric heights, as well as functions such as the ability to split features and reshape them. Now some of our longer term goals are to support Navigator and incorporating all the functionality of Navigator into Field Maps, as well as supporting geo-triggers with location tracking and other workflows in the app. This means privacy zones, maybe areas that you can't track and areas you can. But even once we get work management capabilities into the application, supporting assignments based on where you are, what geofence you're within. So that's more in our longer term vision for where the app is going. We'd love your feedback, and our team takes the feedback really seriously. So if you could provide some feedback, you can click on the selection survey link below this video window. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of our user conference. Take care.